Welcome to Second City News. I'm Keila Harrison. In the program today, a public debate about the Kerslake Review, which is ruffling feathers in the city, Chinese New Year, and Brummies views on who killed Lucy. But first, will we be seeing a series of strikes by the fire service this spring? In a moment, I'll be joined by our reporter, Ian Martish, to discuss the possibilities. But earlier today, the West Midlands Fire Service held a conference to refute the government's claims about their resources. Atitaya Chemnang was there.
Sir Ken Knight released the review of the fire service in England. The report asked for more efficiency in operation in fire and rescue authorities, and thus requires rising more challenges to fire services.
One of our difficulties and challenges at the moment is posturing ourselves appropriately so that we can respond, we can still maintain this service delivery model that we've got with the cuts that are coming our way and the reduction in our budget. Because the largest proportion of our funding is utilised through wages. So the majority of the funds that we can get pay for wages for frontline staff, for firefighters on fire stations. So we need to be in a position whereby we can meet the challenges of those cost reductions. Now we do that, the 19 brigade response vehicles. So we see that strategy moving forward into the future of having lots of different resources available to us to be able to send the right resource to the right incident. So that's a challenge for us at the moment. You know, and some of those challenges are identifying what is that right resource, what will it look like, have we got that, is it in the conception phase, have we got to develop that, have we got to work with our representative bodies, the trade unions, to make sure that the people that we send into incidents are safe. So there's a few challenges around it.
It seems like funding cut by the local government is the crucial functions that impact the working procedures of the West Midland Fire Service, and they still have to face this problem in the future.
Well, joining us now is Ian Martish, who's been covering this story. What are the cuts and issues raised by the government, Ian?
First of all, the government has found that, there have been less fire incidents within the fire services of England. And while this has happened, the same resources have been allotted to the fire services, so there is potential for cuts there. Also, some fire services have received more funding than others, and the government has found a highly disproportionate average between these two. And also, the government claims that there should be more interoperability between the services for better efficiency.
All right, and how did the West Midlands Fire Service respond to these claims?
The West Midlands Fire Service responded by saying that the decrease in fire incidents was due to their actions towards prevention. Contrary to popular belief, 90% of what the fire service does is teach small businesses and the public how to act in the case of a fire, thereby preventing actual incidents. Also, the fire service assigns the right vehicles and the right personnel for different levels of risks in fire incidents. For instance, you would see less fire trucks on the street, and instead low risk level incidents would receive what they call a BRV, a smaller vehicle. The fire service aim for a standard 5-minute response time, and while this may seem little, it's part of a larger timescale which has been calculated from experiments as to the longest a person could survive in a fire situation. Also, the fire service is trying to boost their efficiency by promoting a mobile app that will enable the public to send video live streamed to the fire service directly, so that they, within this 5-minute response time, be able to assess the fire and level of risk.
All right, thanks, Ian. A public debate was held earlier this week at the City Council offices to discuss the findings of the Kerslake Review. The document was published in December last year by Sir Bob Kerslake to look into the governance and working of the Birmingham City Council. Our reporter, Sandhya Iya, went to the debate but asked beforehand if people were aware of the Kerslake Review.
I haven't heard of the Kerslake report yet.
No, I haven't.
No.
No, I've not heard of it.
I've heard of Bob Kerslake as a person, but I haven't heard specifically of his review that's been going on. I just haven't read any publicity about that.
No.
I don't know anything about that.
No, not really.
Do you know anything about the Kerslake review?
To my knowledge, I've not really heard of it at the moment.
It's basically the government's report into the workings of the council.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I mean,
I have no idea what that is.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Kerslake came, he saw. Well, we can't let him conquer, we'll go together.
The debate was organised by Pauline Gegan of News in Brom. Other members of the panel included Alex Yip, the Vice Chair of the British Chinese Project, and Catherine State, Director for Institute of Local Government at the University of Birmingham.
We've got some damning verdicts and damning indictments from all of us who call ourselves Brummies. A third of our children live in poverty.
Issues such as homelessness, children's services and poverty were debated, and many also criticised the Kerslake review for not mentioning other problems like racism and mental health.
Behind the children's services, I'm going to ask you to think about something, and something which I think Kerslake was alluding to. The next biggest problem in this city is people living with mental health issues.
While these problems were being discussed in the council chambers, people on the streets of Birmingham shared their opinions on some of the issues that demand immediate attention of the council.
People with disabilities who are homeless are not being treated fairly at all in any sort of way.
I think the local council should work on getting young people more involved in work schemes, so when they leave higher education, be it uni or college.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the hospitality sector, a lot of them require experience, such as silver service, and for people who have just left school and they don't have much experience, it's a lot to really ask for, because we're out there trying to get experience, but when you apply for the job, they say they want people who are already experienced, so it makes it really hard for us.
They don't regard people's opinions where they're going to be put at the end of the day, and us like single women with kids, they just go and dump us in the estates where they know it's not safe.
I think the council should help people with mental health problems, because there's not a lot being done to help the people with who are suffering from schizophrenia and stuff.
Birmingham City Council, they need to build more accommodation for people, because when you're applying for the council house, you got to wait like for years before you get the accommodation, which is quite not fair for others.
And to tell us more, I'm joined by our reporter, Antia Shada. Antia, are there plans for more of this debate?
Well, the debate of Wednesday was not only a discussion around Kerslake review, it was an opportunity for people to express their thoughts and their worries about the situation of the city. And in this sense, the debate was a step towards a more open democratic process. And what is next is creating more democratic institutions and raising public awareness, especially among the youth. This is a really young city. And therefore, we need many such debates and with public participation. And this is what we are going to see over the next months.
All right, thank you, Antia. News just in today, 3,500 new jobs are being created over the next few days as part of a major recruitment drive in Birmingham. People will be hired to work in shops, casinos, restaurants and bars. While Virgin Media is looking to employ 1,400 people in the West Midlands, Grand Central Station will be hiring about 1,000 staff members. This comes after the West Midlands has recorded high levels of employment. And new housing plans, if approved, will see 700 new homes being built around Birmingham City Centre in the coming months. 4 new developments with an investment of £150 million will be constructed around Jury Quarters, Five Ways Island, Broad Street and near the Cube. 7 Capital, the city firm behind the proposals, has pledged to build 5,000 homes in the West Midlands. Now, Birmingham has the 3rd highest obesity figures in the UK, with over 25% of the population considered to be in that category. Any potential cuts in sickness benefits for these obese people will cause huge concern. Many in the field of public health are worried about the emotional and financial welfare of people who are clinically obese, as Ilka Rogers now reports.
Obviously, if you take £100 a week away from what are usually the most disadvantaged groups in society, you are inevitably going to have a spiralling down consequence for those people on their income. So these are people we know are finding it very difficult to manage their rent, their electricity bills, and that's going to have an unnecessarily very punitive effect on that people. And it's not clear what other safety net might be there for them. So we may have consequences like not eating, not heating, perhaps even becoming homeless as a consequence of losing that income. So that's one effect, yeah.
Not only can these sanctions have imposing effects on the obese community, it can also bring about stigma and a false understanding of obesity.
Obesity arises from a whole mixture of conditions, but I think it's very easy to point at people and say they're lazy, they don't look after themselves, why don't they take more personal responsibility, without always understanding that for some groups of people life is disorganised, messy, complicated, and in fact the foods available to them may be the foods very high in calories, but perhaps not the ones we would be advising people to choose. I think, as we identified earlier, we do have a larger than average for England number of people who are overweight or obese. We have issues with premature mortality in some parts of Birmingham. So there are pockets of deprivation in parts of the city, but there are also parts of the city that are not deprived at all, that have above England's average life expectancy. So I think the story for us is in Birmingham, we need to be closing the gap between the parts of Birmingham where people don't enjoy healthy life expectancy to the same extent as people in the most advantaged parts of the city.
The Berlin Film Festival took place this week, one of the most prestigious celebrations of films and filmmakers for the movie industry. But the director being awarded the festival's main prize was missing, as he's currently in prison in Iran.
It's a really sad day for Iranian cinema, I think. Some of the best examples, or some of the most widely acclaimed examples of recent world cinema, so that's cinema made in the past 10 to 20 years, has been cinema that's been emerging from Iran, Iraq and Afghanistan. And increasingly Iranian cinema is making quite a significant contribution to world culture. So for that not to be recognised in the nation that a specific director comes from, and in Panahi's case that means Iran, it's a sad reflection on freedom of expression in that country. It's an unfortunate reflection on the value there is placed on culture within those kinds of countries. After the Cannes Film Festival, the Berlin Film Festival is one of is probably the most prestigious of European film festivals. So winning an award like the Golden Bear is a really significant achievement for any director, especially directors who are associated with what we generically describe as art cinema. So Derek Jarman in the past has won the Golden Bear. I believe Fassbinder has also won the Golden Bear, and certainly Wim Wenders won the Golden Bear. So it's a really prestigious award, and it's an award that's a recognition of the artistic significance of the director.
One of the films being shown at the Berlin Film Festival was 50 Shades of Grey. There's been some controversy over its portrayal of women, but there's also been a warning by the fire service that people who copy some of the more extreme suggestions for bondage might end up out of pocket. Zijian Wang reports.
Of a rise in lovers finding themselves trapped by handcuffs and other household items after being inspired by the movie. Those people will be fined £400, as West Midlands Fire Service worry that this will lead to people distracting them from the real emergency situations. 50 Shades of Grey is on course for a box office haul of at least $500 million worldwide after final totals for the film's opening weekend. The film has created controversy with many people feeling that it's a poor portrayal of women, but film goers in Birmingham are not taking it too seriously.
I have no explanation for it, but people do
tend to fantasize and copy other people.
No, because he wasn't hardcore. It wasn't very hardcore. Yeah. Not like in the book.
People ought to know both the theories and the practices that are involved in the act, and if we are to have affection or if we are to be affectionate to our partners or spouses, it's very good to get insights from others.
A fire service spokesman said, "We will always attend a genuine emergency, but we have to warn people they could left with a hefty bill for a call out. They need people to pay attention for it."
Yesterday was Chinese Lunar New Year. Our reporter Jingji Wang went out for Second City News to see how the Chinese people are celebrating the Spring Festival in Birmingham.
Yatian is from Shanxi province, where typically he'd have been preparing the feast for families and friends for many days. Here in Birmingham, where he is a student, he is introducing English friends to the Chinese way of celebrating New Year.
It's the first time I've seen dumplings cooked and helping to make dumplings and having something really traditional, so that's really lovely. I've been out for celebrations before in Birmingham. They have some events on, some dancing and music and things like that I've been to, but this is the first time I've been involved with a group of friends who are having a party and a celebration, so it's really nice, it's very good fun.
Celebrating New Year is important in China because it is starting of Lunar Year. Ancestors always pray for wind and rain come of time on these days for next whole year. What usually happens in China, people will have a holiday so that family members can prepare the food and events together. What the year if the gold means everything goes well. University students from across the city got together to celebrate the New Year in a party organized by University of Birmingham Chinese Society.
Well, I think the first 3 words that popped in my mind is super exciting to organize this, simply because you get to meet so many different new people and you get to work along with them, get to know them, and you can really form really great friendships. The second word that would come to mind is stressful, definitely stressful, because sometimes not everything goes according to plan, and then you have to be super flexible, and then you sometimes have to sort of skip your own lessons and stuff like that, and yeah, it's not that good. Yeah, more or less like that. Yeah.
Okay. On Sunday, there will be lots of events for the public to take part in dragon dance and Chinese traditional performance. In a city famed for its multiculturalism, it's an opportunity to enjoy Chinese culture.
新年快乐.
Yes.
新年快乐.
Finally, 30 years ago, the BBC soap EastEnders was broadcast for the first time with a groundbreaking number of viewers. To celebrate its anniversary last night, it revealed the answer to its biggest storyline ever: who killed Lucy? Turns out it was Bobby, but what do we make of it?
I thought it was Jane at first, but it makes sense now because she loves Bobby.
She covered up for him, basically.
When he sticks his 2 penny worth in, but
Well, I thought it was a bit predictable. For the past couple of weeks I've been thinking it was Bobby, only because he didn't go to his sister's funeral, neither did Jane, so she's obviously took him out of the picture, gone to get the car cleaned, all that jazz, and then when he came back into the picture it was a different actor playing Bobby, which normally means in soap land, if it's a different actor it's going to be a bigger story that's happening.
I think it's pretty stupid. I didn't expect it to be Bobby at all. I thought it would be more of a shock if it was Lauren or even Ian or Jane. But at the end of the day, because it's Bobby, it's like a little kid, I don't think it's really going to go anywhere and everyone's just going to forget about it.
Okay, I feel he's appointed.
And the weather. For the rest of the day, largely dry and bright across the region with sunny spells, but a few showers will push through across the weekend with temperatures of 5 degrees tomorrow, rising to 7 on Sunday. That's it for Second City News for this week. Thank you for joining us. See you next Friday. Have a good weekend and enjoy the Chinese New Year celebrations.